The main reason why I find so many unprofitable ICT traders who spend years learning his content and never make a dollar from the market is because they misinterpret what he says. Have you ever heard the quote, "Jack of all trades, master of none"? And when it comes to profitability, you have to be a master of your strategy. The truth about ICT is that it's not even complicated. The only reason why there's a misconception that ICT concepts are complicated is because people overcomplicate it for themselves. They try to learn everything. But ICT himself says that you don't need to learn everything. You need to pick and choose the concepts that align with you personally. And in this video, I'm going to break down 5 of the most important ICT concepts and the only ICT concepts that you'll have to learn to become a profitable trader. I'm going to make it so simple that even a 12-year-old can understand it. So if you're at an age where you already have kids, just tell them to watch this video and you don't even have to worry about becoming a profitable day trader yourself. Because after watching this video a few times, they'll do the work for you. But on a serious note, ICT is not as difficult as you think, and in this video I'm going to break down these 5 concepts, starting from fair value gap, immediate rebalance, liquidity, order blocks, and breaker blocks. Because in reality, like I said, all you have to do is to become a master of the most important concepts. These 5 concepts helped me understand the market and create a system that allowed me to consistently pass funded accounts and get payouts on my live account. So if you're tired of overcomplicating your trading strategy, the tips that I'm going to give you at the end of this video are going to help you create a profitable system using the most simple concepts that you can possibly learn. The first concept, and I believe this is one of the most foundational concepts that you can learn as an ICT trader, is the fair value gap. Now, I've already made an ultimate guide to how you can understand fair value gaps on different time frames and in the premium and discount of a move. So it would be a crime if I didn't just send you to that video instead. So once you're done watching this video, go back and watch that video to better understand fair value gaps. But to put it into simple terms that a 12-year-old can understand, a fair value gap is when the market moves too fast and doesn't give buyers or sellers the chance to react. It's like it skipped a step. So let me mark it out for you. This right here is a fair value gap, and if you put it into a metaphor, it's like when you order a pizza and the delivery driver has to pick up the pizza, get in his car, and drive it to your house. But what if he just teleported to your house instead? He skipped a step. And so now that he's at your house and he only had that one use teleportation, he has to get back to the pizza store, and so he'll take a car or he'll walk there. And essentially the market will have to come back and fill this gap before it continues in the direction that it was going. So before the pizza guy can go do more deliveries, he'll have to come back to the pizza place in order to grab more pizza to deliver to other people. It's very simple to mark out fair value gaps. Fair value gaps exist between 3 candles. So there's 1, 2, 3 candles. And if there exists a gap between the top of the bottom candle wick and the bottom of the top candle wick, then you mark that out as a fair value gap. You extend it out and you wait for the market to come back into it before it continues going higher. And inside of a bearish leg, where price is going down, it also exists between a 3 candle range. So we have 1 candle, 2 candle, 3 candle. And you can see here that the bottom wick is very small. And you can see here that the bottom wick is very tiny, and there exists a little gap between the bottom wick of the top candle and the top of the wick of the bottom candle. So while that's a very big tongue twister, it's very simple to actually mark them out and see them over time. So it's inside of a 3 candle range, and it's this little gap that exists between the wicks. The second concept that every ICT trader always overcomplicates is liquidity. Now you might be thinking, liquidity is simple, it's just highs and lows. But let me show you how people overcomplicate it and why you just simply don't need to do this. So let me first introduce to you what liquidity is, because liquidity is one of the simplest concepts. In reality, it's just highs and lows. And the reason why liquidity works in the way that it does is because at the high of the move, once the market starts running down, sellers who want the market to go down will place their stop above the highs, their stop loss, so that the market takes them out of the order if it goes any higher. And they think that it's safe up here because this is the high of the move. And what the market does is when it builds up a lot of liquidity, think of it like this. You're playing tag, and instead of going for that one person sitting over there to the side, you go for the group because you know that's where the action is. You know you're gonna get somebody. In the market, the group is where all the sellers are putting their stop losses above the highs. And same with buyers, they think their stop loss is safe because this is the lowest point in the move. So the group of buyers inside of this range are going to be putting their stop losses below the low. And so what happens is the market then comes up and takes them all out. It goes and tags the group of people, and then new sellers enter the market. There's a new person that gets tagged, and the new person that gets tagged starts running after the group of people that are sitting down here, the buyers, and so it takes them out, and then the new person who's it starts running after the sellers. That's how liquidity works. Now, the easiest way to overcomplicate liquidity is labeling it as external and internal liquidity. And this is probably something that you've seen on YouTube all over the place, because I myself have seen a bunch of YouTubers making videos on internal and external liquidity. And while this can be very helpful, it's just an overcomplication of something that's really quite simple. I hope this analogy helps you understand liquidity very clearly. It's essentially just where people put their stop losses and the market takes them out so that new sellers or new buyers can enter the market and run after the group of people that is going to tag. The next concept that I wanted to cover that a lot of people overcomplicate is order blocks, and that's because there's so much different variations of order blocks, and I'm going to show you the simplest one and the only one that you need to know. So the first question is, what is an order block? And while I am going to make a more complex video on order blocks that is going to come out really soon, an order block is just the opposite candle before a big move. So right here, this bearish candle before this big bullish move, and this bullish candle before the big bearish move. You can see right here that I gave you a candle that is in the opposite direction. It was the same with this one right here. So right before this candle, there was another bullish candle, and that's what signifies that this right here is an order block. You mark them out from the bottom of the actual body, and order blocks give you very, very precise entries. So let's put it into another metaphor that even a 12-year-old could understand. So let's pretend like you took a shopping cart from your local Walmart, and you're taking this shopping cart in a very steep hill. The order block is like that last push that you give the shopping cart. It'll run up really rapidly if you push it hard, but what's gonna happen after that? It's gonna come on flying straight back down. So an order block is like that last push that the market makes in the opposite direction of where it's truly heading, and it traps those buyers right here before it runs down. And same right here, it traps the sellers before it runs up. And essentially the reason why you enter at the body once it comes back and taps into it is because it doesn't want to allow those sellers to get out of their positions. Same with the buyers. It does not want to allow the buyers to get out of their positions. It wants to fake them out, thinking that the market's going to keep running, and then it melts again, or then it flies again. So that's what an order block is, and I'm sure that shopping cart example really showed you. And it's the same scenario in a downhill. If you're going down and you pick the shopping cart up, it's gonna fall back down anyways, because gravity's pulling it in a specific direction. Instead of gravity, it's the market and the higher time frame narrative that's pushing it in a specific direction. So far we covered fair value gaps, order blocks, and liquidity. The next concept is a much more complex one, but this one is definitely worth learning and understanding because it will give you so much more entry opportunities with fair value gaps. And I don't know if you realize, but there are fair value gaps in both of these moves. Right here you can see that there was a fair value gap 1, 2, 3, and there was a gap between these candles. There was not a gap between these three candles, 1, 2, 3. You can see there exists no fair value gap because this wick right here overlapped with this wick. And essentially that's the concept of immediate rebalance. But instead of this candle, it's actually the last candle. It's the third candle of the move. So instead of allowing a fair value gap to form by closing up here, what this third candle would do is it would pull back down with the wick to make sure that no new fair value gap forms. So this right here is an immediate rebalance. And right here you can also see that there's a fair value gap right here, 1, 2, 3, and right there would have been a fair value gap that you can reference. However, if the third candle pulled up with the wick a little bit higher, let me make this a little more straight. Okay, I guess that's not possible. But if the wick pulled up and made sure that no new fair value gap formed here, that would have been an immediate rebalance. And an immediate rebalance is a continuation technique. So to put it in terms that a 12-year-old would understand, this is similar to the example of the delivery driver. The market skipped a step and created a fair value gap. So let's imagine you're making a sandwich and you take a bite of the sandwich and you realize, wait, there's no sauce in my sandwich. So you immediately go back to the kitchen and fix the issue. So right here, when the market opens that third candle and there's an issue because a new fair value gap is going to form, but the market just wants to finish the sandwich. Like you want to finish the sandwich, you don't want to go back to the kitchen anymore. It wants to keep going towards where it wants to go and finish the move. You want to finish the sandwich. So you got to make sure that you go back, fix the issue so that you can finish the sandwich in one fell swoop. And that's what immediate rebalance does. Essentially, when this fills it, and you can see that it taps it and then immediately starts pulling back up, you can get into a position once the market pulls back up, because it will likely continue running towards whatever the target is that you're aiming for. So that's how immediate rebalance works, and it's one of the most powerful concepts out there, to be honest. Now, the last concept is definitely going to be one of the easiest. It's on par with the fair value gap because it's really just a pattern, and it's a pattern that is very familiar, and many traders that don't even study ICT are aware of this pattern, and it's essentially a higher high, lower low, or a lower low, higher high. And this revolves around the liquidity and fair value gaps. At least for an ICT trader, this will revolve with fair value gaps. And this is how I took the fair value gap and added an IFEG to it to make it a very high probability setup and create a profitable system out of it. So remember, breaker blocks are either lower low, higher high, or higher high, lower low. So here is a low, and essentially once this low is swept, we get a lower low that is created. And once it starts running up, if whatever target that you're aiming for is somewhere above the high, then you're expecting there to be a higher high, right? You want the market to draw up above this high into the target, right? A higher high. So what I did is that I involved a fair value gap that gets disrespected, essentially a fair value gap like this, and I wait for the market to tap back into it before it runs. So my entry comes in right here. Now, IFEGs are very complicated, and it's not something that I'm going to cover in this video, but it's something that I use in every single trading day. So if you want to learn about this, sub to my channel, and a new video will be coming out on this very soon because I've been working in the trenches to make a video on IFEGs. Back to breaker blocks. So essentially in this trade, we would be looking for a higher high to hit our target before the market does whatever it wants to do, either continue higher or stop there. Now, the opposite of this breaker would be a higher high, lower low. So here we have a high, and we're expecting the market to come up above this high to create a higher high. So once the liquidity is swept right here we have a high that gets swept, and our target is below, we're essentially expecting that this to be a liquidity sweep and for the market to run on the low. So there's going to be a lower low. And essentially, instead of just looking for a trade from here, you wait for confirmation, the same concept that I was talking about earlier. And breaker blocks would be that pattern where you get a higher high, lower low, as long as your target is right below the previous low that was created, because the market loves taking out liquidity. The market loves tagging the group of people that exist right there. That one was very simple, and I hope you got it just like this, because in reality it is just a higher high, lower low. And I took another concept that I learned from ICT and I added it to this pattern in the market to create myself a profitable system that I can use every day in my model. Now before I go, I want to give you a metaphor that you will remember. So think about it in a higher high, lower low range. The market is essentially running out the front door. So think about it as the police are chasing somebody in a building, and they're running out the front door and everyone's chasing him. And as soon as he steps out that front door, which is right here, he turns around and starts running out that back door to fake them all out. And that's exactly what the market does. The market makes people, especially breakout traders, take longs off of a breakup structure like this to fake them out and then go towards the lows, because the true target and the true narrative of the market is a lower low right here. So the market runs out the front door, turns around, fakes everybody out, and runs towards the back exit instead, escaping from the pursuers. After watching this video, I hope you guys truly realize that it's not as complicated as you think. And if you go ahead and attach a metaphor to each one of the concepts, then you'll be able to understand it so much more clearly. If you enjoyed this video and I actually helped you understand these 5 concepts, then drop a comment which metaphor was your favorite. For me, I think personally it was the sandwich one. I thought really long and hard on that one, and I low-key cooked. So if you want to see more videos like this, explaining more concepts, especially the ones I mentioned earlier in the video, I have many new and exciting series coming out soon. So if you want to tune in for those, drop a sub on my channel, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.